Hi. IOY. I am Skycat Live. This is my website. Please click on the cat space to donate. I'm on YouTube. Thank you for your time. Hello. Hi. My camera. So, I learned that YouTube cannot handle huge videos, so I'm just going to start putting on. Apparently, it's good for the algorithm, anyways. Apparently, it's better to put on seven, what I'm going to do is 7 2-hour videos each day, which is kind of crazy, and cut it shorter, probably as my life gets better. And so we're gonna do a format change here, and hopefully it's in a better place than it was. We film in an 18,000 kbps. It's gonna be a lot better of a recording, and I can't wait. So, on that note, we are playing some Fallout New Vegas. Finally, I'm done remodding and reinstalling and reloading over and over and over again. I am finally happy with my Fallout New Vegas state, and so we will play quite a bit of this, I think, right now. So, and then eventually some Fallout 76 and some New World, I think. Maybe even some Rust. I don't mind. I could check my base, I guess. So, okay, and now, nope, gotta deactivate, and there we go. Much better. Yes, much better. Okay, here we are. Let us play some games, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will listen to some videos now. We just did Overwatch competitive for 2 hours. I'm thinking I might change the format to do 2-hour sessions and extend if I want to keep going, or flip up different games each time. You know, play some Hearthstone, play some other stuff. You know, I play a lot of games, and I got a lot of fingers and a lot of game pies, and just definitely need to keep playing a lot of games. So I'm going to change it here. At the end of each 2-hour session, I will post the last video. I got to set a timer here. I forgot about that. So where is my clock? There is a clock. So we will make a stopwatch, or not a timer, but a timer for not 11 hours. That's far too much. I didn't know until I got my hand slapped by YouTube. But 2 hours, right? YouTube record timer, save, play. And now we can move forward. Yay. I killed like 40 skeletons in here with grenade launcher, and it was actually really fun. It's actually really fun. I killed like 40 mobs in here. Ooh, a safe. Nice. No. Oh, this is so much better than 76. It's way easier to see what it's doing, for one thing. Ooh, beer, cybernetic surgery, standard edition. While not really useful in the hands, with this highly educational and particularly rare book, every decent doctor should be able to learn the art of cybernetic surgery. Cybernetic surgery. Now, we cleared out the school. The main reason I came here is I was checking to see if there was a bed here. But I don't know. I don't think so. I'll have to find a bed in town somewhere. That's alright. Our mission right now is to find a bed. And at that note, to rest my voice, because I have had a recent diagnosis of destroying my vocal cords, that I'm going to not do that so much anymore. So we're going to move the camera over here so I can actually see the screen. I want it over here. Where can I have it where it doesn't block? Yeah, like right there. There we go. Yeah, and that doesn't block me at all. Sweet. I'm going to run my seat back a little bit. Okay. Much better. Okay. Alright, guys, gonna mute the mic. Gonna settle in for finally after days and days of modding to make sure I got all the kinks out. I expect to be able to do a full Vegas playthrough. So nope. Oh, Mantis 4 leg. Skeletons and stuff. This didn't work. So anyways, thank you so much. Let's find a video, huh? Before I kill the mic, we will just check our process in terms of uploading. 10%. See, this was a 4-hour video, and it is uploading fairly quickly. And I imagine it's probably a lot more easier for YouTube to handle. And yeah, and that way we will start putting on, oh God, like 7 2-hour videos each day. And that's how I'll just fill YouTube with videos. And I don't care. On that note, I'm going to kill the mic. Stick around, guys. It'll be fun.
Berlin, mid-August 1933. SA formations march camera perfect through the Brandenburg Gate, just like they had done the previous January, in the night when Adolf Hitler seized power. This footage was taken during the shooting of the film Hans Westmar. What is so special about these pictures is that the cameraman was using 35mm color film. At the time, still an expensive rarity in Germany.
September the 30th, 1934. The Reich Agriculture Festival in Goslar. Farm workers, men and women from all over the Third Reich are seen waiting in front of the Imperial Palace. In an essay to mark the festival, a young German girl wrote,
"Above all, the Harvest Festival is our way of thanking God for his rich blessings, but it's also our way of giving thanks to the government of the Reich, which, through the measures it has taken, has restored the farming community to full bloom."
Delegations from the SA and the SS were also awaiting the arrival of Adolf Hitler. A few weeks earlier, the dictator had deposed of his biggest adversary, Ernst Röhm. Now, following the death of President of the Reich, Paul von Hindenburg, Hitler was leader and imperial chancellor of the German nation. Director Kurt Waschneck, a pioneer of filming in color, had chosen this day to shoot one of the first cultural films using the new two-color film material as it was known. The result still left something to be desired. In Goslar, a guard of honor from the army of the Reich was present to welcome its new commander-in-chief.
On the Buckerburg near Hamel, a stand had been built for a ceremonial rally. The film's director didn't have to worry about a setting for Adolf Hitler's appearance. Hundreds of thousands of farm workers had turned up to pay homage to the dictator. Kurt Waschneck had deployed 2 camera teams equipped with color film. After the film was presented to the press in December 1934, one critic saw the report as an experiment that could not stand up to comparison with nature. But another critic praised the outstanding color footage, especially the shots of the traditional costumes. Swiss journalist Konrad Warner described the propaganda spectacle on the Buckerburg in a factual report written in 1944.
As they awaited the arrival of Hitler and his retinue, people were filled with excitement and anticipation. Then, as a convoy of cars approached on the plain below, thousands upon thousands of voices shouted out, "Heil!" The sound hurtling down the slope like a hurricane towards the man who knew how to hold the German nation in thrall. Hitler could only make slow progress through the crowd. He was flanked on both sides by countrywomen in their pretty traditional costumes who were pushing forward to see him, clutch his hand, and look into his blue eyes. The enthusiasm of thousands of people constantly shouting "Heil" stirred each individual into a frenzy, which increased the impact of this man's personality even more.
The unmistakable shortcomings of the colour film process made it unlikely that Vaschneck's report would ever be shown in German cinemas. In summer 1937, the first 16mm colour film produced by AGFA appeared on the market in Germany. Despite its high price, many amateur film enthusiasts were prepared to dig deep into their pockets to use it. Members of the Institute for Folklore in Halle also filmed with the new material. In 1938, racial researchers in Friedeburg and der Saale documented a community festival for their archive. The Germans had settled in comfortably under the swastika. The overwhelming majority of the population were devoted to the Führer.
Film enthusiasts throughout the Third Reich began using color film. When he wasn't at work in his bakehouse, Hamburg master pastry chef Kurt Lehfeld was out and about shooting footage of his hometown. Lehfeld preferred the products manufactured in America. In 1935, the Kodak company developed color film,
What do you
which
need?
it also marketed in Germany. From May to September
Bye.
1938, Lehfeld documented life and work in
What
Hamburg's
do you
famous
need?
warehouse district and in
Later.
its port. Lehfeld's camera also captured the Kai-Speicher A warehouse building. Visible from afar, its tower was a landmark. The success enjoyed by Hamburg's port stemmed originally from international trade, but Germany's gateway to the
That's
world
close
had been
enough.
hard hit by the Great
Who are you,
Depression.
and what do you want with
Enough.
me? Sorry about the gun. You just caught me off guard, that's all. We got off to a bad start. What say we start over with a friendly game of Caravan? You know how to play? Thanks, I guess. Cobb wasn't the problem, though. I could have handled him if he ever found me. Cobb's friends are the bigger problem. And when he doesn't get back, they'll be coming here for blood. There's no way I can fight them all. I'm gonna lay low for as long as I can, assuming the town doesn't throw me to the wolves. I've got no chance against the gang on my own. We'd just end up sharing the same grave if it's just the two of us. I was thinking to myself. Start with sunny smiles.
Proportion of Hamburg's merchant fleet had to be decommissioned. In its dockyards, workers were laid off on a huge scale. But round trips to German seaside resorts or through the port were, it seems, highly popular with locals and tourists. From the landing stages and the old Elbe tunnel, ships headed down the River Elbe.
Also captured on the film taken by Leyfeld are pictures of the Wilhelm Gustloff, a luxurious cruise liner which was intended to symbolize the classless nature of Nazi society. Strength Through Joy was not an organization for Nazi bigwigs, but the party expected anyone who was allowed to sail to Norway for a week to behave appropriately. Through work procurement measures financed with credit and through contracts awarded by the Senate, the Nazis had succeeded in reducing unemployment. Thanks mainly to increasing rearmament contracts from the German Navy, the situation was also gradually improving in the port. By 1936, Hamburg's 6 major dockyards were again providing nearly 20,000 jobs. Leyfeld's film recordings are rare documents of a bygone age, when 1,300 mobile electric cranes and hundreds of stevedores unloaded goods from all over the world.
The Hamburg pastry chef entered his 20-minute-long documentation in a competition and won first prize. His footage portrayed many ships which today exist only in the memories
I don't
of
think Joe
Hamburg's
Cobb knew what
elderly
hit him.
citizens.
I'm hoping.
Like the Monte Rosa, a liner which, in 1931,
Not in Good Springs,
sailed
no.
on a regular schedule
But if you're up
to
for a
the
little
east
scavenging,
coast of South
most of what's in
America.
there is junk,
The
but
vessel
there's this
normally
old
carried
safe
cargo
if you want
and
to take a shot at
passengers,
it.
But the Monte Rosa was also used for pleasure cruises.
If the lock's too much for you to handle, reading through the... You'll need those to pick the lock. Be careful, though. Oh. Well, go ahead and keep...
One of
I
the
hunt
first
geckos
film
mostly.
enthusiasts
The meat's pretty good, and I can always find a buyer for the hides. I also help keep the town clear of rat scorpions and coyotes. Not many people live in Good Springs, so wildlife is always creeping in. Sure can. Take the road southeast out of town till it hits the freeway. Prim is the town with the roller coaster straight south. Can't miss it. NCR patrols do a good job of keeping the highway clear, but I'd keep your gun where you can reach it easily. You never know who you'll run into. Off the road, you'll probably start running into hostile wildlife. My advice would be to stick to the highway when you can. Sure. Southeast of here is Prim. Can't miss it. Since it has the giant old roller coaster right in the middle of town. The NCR's got an outpost there. If you follow the road north, you'll eventually hit Sloan and Quarry Junction. They mine rocks or something, but I heard they got troubles lately. I wouldn't head that direction if I were you, though. Got critters up there that don't take kindly to getting shot. Around here, mostly the new California Republic. Bunch of settlers and soldiers coming in from the west, fixing on making Nevada their own. They can be right pushy, but the roads are safer because of them, so I tend to let it go. Not that I got a choice. Well, the wildlife for one thing, rowdy locals for another. They're protecting their own. Just happens to help us. They've been holding off this other group from the east, too. Got a funny name. Call themselves Caesar's Legion. Never seen them in these parts, so I couldn't tell you much. I hear rumors, that's about it. Supposedly they keep slaves and they got some real nasty ways of killing folks. But maybe that's just something folks in the NCR cooked up to make themselves seem more useful here. Less uninvited. If you want to know anything else, just ask. Say no more. Even though Joe Cobb's dead, his friends will come after the town eventually. However, between you, me, and Ringo, we aren't exactly a force to be reckoned with. If you could convince Trudy to join... I know Easy Pete's got a stock of dynamite somewhere, and Chet just got a shipment of leather armor we could borrow. Talk to them as well. Finally, there's a good chance we'll all end up with extra holes in us. So if Doc Mitchell could cough up some extra stim packs, that'd be great. A silver tongue would help. I don't think give is in Chet's vocabulary. Even Easy Pete's pretty protective of his dynamite. You'd have to convince him you know a thing or two about explosives before you handed it over.
You must be the one Doc... I've got plenty of supplies for sale. Even if you're hurting for caps, I've also got boxes of surplus ammo in the miscellaneous section. Now just hold on. I never voted to take on the Powder Ganger. Right. Right. Just keep... Can do.
Johnny Guitar. What if you go? What if you stay? I love you. What if you're cruel? You can be kind.
Thanks. It's all about quantity over quality. trouble is, you'll be cleaning and fixing your gun a lot more than usual when you use those kind of bullets. Weapon mods are things like silencers, scopes, bigger magazines. Special ammo includes things like armor-piercing bullets, which don't hurt the target as much, but let you punch through armor easier. There's also hollow point bullets, which have the opposite effect. You can kill unarmored targets easier, but they don't do shit against armor. If Ringo doesn't head out on his own, I think we should. Don't mistake that for coward talk, though. We're a town of survivors. The leader was a New Vegas type. Typical city. The Great Khans normally stay in their own territory. Twice. Both times I drank a lot of liquor. If you ever get to New Vegas, word of advice, behave. Between the NCR military police and Mr. House's robots, you don't want to be causing trouble on the Strip. I'm afraid I don't know much myself. Mr. House has got his own casino, Lucky 38, but nobody goes in or out except his robots. The other casinos follow Mr. House's rules, so I guess that makes him the leader of New Vegas. As far as I know, nobody's ever laid eyes on the guy. I think that robot who pulled you out of the dirt belongs to Mr. House. If Mr. House is looking after you, it's got to be a good thing, right? They're tough sons of bitches. Mean, but not crazy. They'll leave you alone unless you got something they want. The Great Khans deal in illegal chems. There's a good chance that most chems you come across were made by Great Khans. Take it.
Who could afford the new 16mm color material was Hitler's chief pilot, Hans Bauer. In Berlin on September the 27th, 1937, Bauer filmed the state visit of Italy's fascist leader, Benito Mussolini. In front of the Technical University, the Führer gave the Duce and his entourage a demonstration of Prussian traditions and showed his guests the results of German rearmament. Hans Bauer was allowed to film the spectacle from one of the rear rows on the VIP stand. After the demise of the Third Reich, these unique documents of Hitler's immediate environment were regarded as lost. It wasn't until 1988 that they were rediscovered in the estate of a former U.S. soldier from Tennessee.
Seems like wherever I go, it's a... Oh, I'm not much good in a fight with my bump.
In 1945, Herbert Sankt Goar learned where
I ain't got...
footage taken by Hitler's pilot had been secretly buried. He secured it and took it back with him to Chattanooga.
Displaying weaponry of all kinds, the parade lasted 3 hours. Mussolini was particularly impressed by the goose-stepping, so much so, in fact, that on his return, he also had the snappy marching style introduced into the Italian armed forces. Hitler saw the pompous parade as the expression of his enhanced sense of self-esteem. We are somebody once again. We have demolished the Treaty of Versailles. We have the same arms as our adversaries. Perhaps ours are even better.
That autumn in 1937, it wasn't only at home that the Third Reich demonstrated its regained strength. At the World Exhibition in Paris, the Germans were allocated a site right next to the Eiffel Tower for their huge pavilion. The Soviet Union had built its exhibition hall directly opposite. In terms of monumentality, the communist
Howdy.
dictatorship
What can
was
Easy
certainly
Pete
on
do for you? Too dangerous. Gonna kill all yourselves if I let you touch it. Better to leave it buried. Safer that way. Uh-huh. Guess you know what you're doing. I'll go dig it. The one in the fancy suit seemed to be calling the shots. That's as much as I know. Other folks in town might know more. Word of advice, though. If you ever catch up with him, watch out. The man's got cold eyes like a snake. Can't be trusted, I'd say. Bad trouble. Welcome. Was a prospector until I decided to settle here to get away from the NCR. Now we'll just take it easy and help out with the Brahmin and Bighorners. Nah. Wait. Nope. Had a pretty good claim once, way out east by the river, but got run up. Don't get me wrong, the NCR's got a lot of towns like Good Spring. They're slavers, led by a guy named Caesar, or Caesar. Not sure. A couple of years, we've been hearing stories of the confined. The
So you're planning on taking on Joe Cobb's gang. It's a big risk. That does sound like a good plan. All right, you seem to know what you're doing, so you can count me in. Let me have a word with a few other folks, and I'll see if I can't round up some more members for this militia you're creating. While everyone does own a gun, we could stand to be a little better equipped. The general... Be careful out...
I'll keep an eye out for the powder gangers. Until next...
Feeling thirsty?
Howdy. You looking to buy some Damn. Give me a shout if you need anything else. Take it easy.
So what's going on? Well, I guess... Oh.
Time to look alive. At least... Oh, Easy Pete came through with the dynamite. I'll be set up near the store. Let's hope...
Holy shit!
I owe you a huge favor for this. Here, these are technically Crimson Caravan funds, but I know they'll understand once I explain things. I'll stick around for a bit longer, but I'll be gone in a few days. If you ever visit New Vegas, look me up at the Crimson Caravan camp. Thanks again for all your help. It's a two-player game, and the winner takes the whole pot. You build a caravan using the cards in your deck. The goal is to create caravan bids that beat your opponent's bids, so there's more strategy than luck involved. It's why you won't see caravan in any casino. Too slow-paced, and more importantly, no house edge. Here, take this holotape. It goes into more specifics about the rules. You'll also need a deck, so take one of my spares. So, you feel like playing a game? Just keep an eye out for them while you travel. I've found cards in old boxes or forgotten on shelves. Can find some for sale, too. I've never stopped here until... Yeah.
Hey there.
Par with Germany. Hitler had commissioned his new favorite, Albert Speer, with the design of the German pavilion. The two had spent many nights in Berlin and on the Obersalzburg, poring over drafts and drawings. On Sunday, February the 27th, 1938, a cine enthusiast from Nuremberg filmed this carnival procession. A local Nazi newspaper wrote,
It's not always necessary to wonder whether you're in the midst of supporters or enemies. Instead, you should set yourself above inhibitions that are better suited to the affected and not to the Germans of our magnificent era. An age which, whether in earnest or in jest, offers incredible impressions and proves time and again that the concord and solidarity of a great ethnic community are the most wonderful gifts of the National Socialist State.
In 1944, Swiss businessman René Jouvet published a factual report on his experiences in the Third Reich. In it, he describes a conversation he had in autumn 1937.
My friend was over the moon. He had expected many things, but not what he was now witnessing with his own eyes. Such happy, optimistic people. You've not seen everything, I told him. Above all, you're forgetting what price the German nation has had to pay. The loss of personal freedom and truth in public life.
By this point in time, Hitler had long since decided to lead Germany into a new war, and also to tighten measures against the Jewish population. Consequently, on one of the carnival floats, caricatures of Jews hung from gallows, as if this was something totally natural. According to eyewitnesses, the float was greeted with frenetic applause.
In Quedlinburg in 1938, a member of the SS took this color footage of his most senior boss. Heinrich Himmler was visiting the town. He came to Quedlinburg every year to honor his great idol. King Henry I lies buried in a cathedral, and Himmler turned the church into a national shrine. The head of the SS wanted to replace Christianity with Teutonic cult worship. His devotion was to the swastika. His lifetime goal was to eradicate the Jewish nation.
In early May 1938, Hitler's
Howdy, partner.
Hans Bauer accompanied the Führer on a state visit to Italy. He documented his impressions of the trip in a short film, which he entitled Beautiful Italy. 6 months later, the censor approved it for public showing in the Third Reich. The state visit was to have been documented in color by a professional camera team from the Nazi propaganda machine. But problems with the optical filters made its footage unusable. As a result, Hans Bauer was able to earn money with his amateur film. After the annexation of Austria in March, Hitler had expected Italian leader Benito Mussolini to give his approval for Germany to seize the Sudetenland. The Germans actually wanted to sign a written agreement with the Italians, but their hosts were hesitant and only relented when, in a public statement, Hitler declared the Brenner border to be the eternally valid border between Germany and Italy.
The official host was King Vittorio Emanuele III, and the monarch knew how to ease Mussolini into the background. Hitler was repulsed by the obsequiousness of court ceremony, and he let the king feel it. On May the 5th, 1938, Hitler and his entourage were taken on an excursion to Naples, where they were given an enthusiastic reception. With his small camera, Hans Bauer filmed the sights of this city at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, which had donned itself in truly festive garb for its state visitors from the north.
What do you need? Bye.
After a few days, Hitler felt fairly irritated by the little king, who knew how to take center stage. Mussolini had no alternative but to put on a brave face.
Protect and serve.
To snub the royal family time and again, the Führer had his old friend come forward and walk alongside him. On May the 8th, 1938, Hitler's hosts organized a maneuver by the Italian Air Force north of Rome. It was a case of staged saber rattling. In the Rome-Berlin axis, the Duce had long since been relegated to the role of junior partner. Mussolini actually feared that Hitler might start a military conflict with Czechoslovakia. Later, Hans Bauer remembered that the German guests were impressed by the strength of the Italian forces. But Mussolini had secretly decided not to become involved in a war in Europe.
Hitler spent virtually all of August 1938 on the Obersalzberg. On the terrace of the Berghof, he studied plans for the Wehrmacht's invasion of Czechoslovakia. One frequent guest was Albert Speer. The little time the Führer allowed himself was often spent with his architect. Hitler once had visions of becoming an architect himself, and in Speer he had found the ideal executor for his colossal plans. A sharp individual, Speer had been part of the dictator's inner circle for some time. The architect had also become friends with Eva Braun, who took these pictures in 1938. Hitler's mistress was a keen amateur photographer. Consequently, she too had developed a passion for color film. These pictures of the dictator should actually have been destroyed after her death, but in October 1945, they fell into the hands of the American Secret Service. As a result, what are probably the only uncensored pictures of Hitler's private life have been preserved in the National Archives in Washington.
In his memoirs, Albert Speer would later claim that the Berghof Society merely engaged in small talk and killed time waiting for the master of the house to arrive. But this, it seems, was just an attempt to cover himself and play down his own involvement in the crimes committed by the Nazi regime. In fact, many political decisions were taken on the idyllic Obersalzberg. Murders were even planned there. At this time, peace in Europe was hanging by a thread. Hitler wanted war, but the major powers of Britain and France were not yet prepared to engage in hostilities. So, with Mussolini's help and far-reaching concessions, in Munich they forced the dictator to the negotiating table.
Eva Braun, edited her footage to produce film shows in color, which were presented in the evenings on the Berghof. When Hitler was not staying on the Obersalzberg, his mistress liked to make trips to Bavaria's lakes. Accompanied by her parents, friends, and relatives, the athletic 26-year-old was the center of attention. Ava's sister, Gretel, also liked to film and take photographs. Sophie Stork, a good friend, who was also an artist, drew the film rings. The Germans had no idea that Hitler had a mistress. As a senior correspondent with Reuters news agency in Munich, Ernest Pope had particularly good contacts in the Bavarian capital, so in his book Munich Playground, he engaged in speculation.
The buxom Efi Braun is Adolf's secret mistress. She was assistant to his photographer Heinrich Hoffmann. She cooks fine meals for him and serves him in every way you would expect from a German wife. There are rumors that the Führer has secretly married Efi, but I doubt that. That no mortal woman has the quality to become Frau Hitler.
Even though the films made by Eva Braun, chief pilot Hans Bauer, and the folklorist from Halle don't always document the decisive stations of the Third Reich, they do provide eloquent testimony to the nature of the National Socialist dictatorship. And it is only through color that the flower-clad swastikas at this children's festival in Thuringia have such an oppressive impact.
May the 1st, 1939. Berlin was festively decorated for Labor Day. Only 6 years have passed since the Nazis declared May the 1st a national holiday. A move designed to bind the German working class to it through National Socialist slogans and pretentious prophecies for the future, and one that had already proved it. Berlin journalist Ruth Andreas Friedrich described such events in her diary.
District leaders, factory representatives, block leaders, shop stewards, leaders from the Federation of German Girls and the Hitler Youth Organization, in fact all the state-appointed ideological controllers of the German people, ensure that only acolytes turn up to cheer on official occasions. Anyone who is politically unreliable, anyone who has roused even the slightest suspicion of being a naysayer, is to be kept away from such occasions. The yes-men know what is expected. They cheer spontaneously, at the right place and at the right time.
March of the Golden Standards is the title of a color film which an unknown cine enthusiast took on this particular day. He was part of a delegation from the Siebel Aircraft Works, a Nazi model plant which the day before had been honored by Hitler himself and was allowed to provide one of the 200 lectures. In his speech, the Führer adopted a pacific tone and castigated the international clique of Jewish warmongers. But in actual fact, 4 weeks previously, he had ordered his military leaders to prepare the invasion of neighboring Poland. The rearmament of Nazi Germany was taking place at full speed. Consequently, on this May the 1st, it was mainly Nazis who participated in this parade of the Golden Standards. To the sound of appropriate marching music the golden standard of the Siebel Aircraft Works in Halle was rolled up. This was the last May holiday to be celebrated in such grandiose style in the Third Reich.
Because the outbreak of the Second World War was only a few weeks away. In Berlin in the summer of 1939, there appeared to be little enthusiasm for a renewed call to arms. Memories of the Great War of 1914 to 1918 were too traumatic. This is how an American reporter described the mood.
Everyone is against war. How can a country start a decisive war with a people so tired of war?
An internal note stated that
faith in the Führer will now be put to the test more than ever before.
And a German journalist noted that
the observer cannot help thinking that people are deliberately indulging in unrestrained enjoyment.
it was a dance on the volcano. The recently completed Reich Chancellery was deserted. Albert Speer had adapted the huge building entirely to the Führer's wishes, but Hitler preferred to forge his plans for conquering Poland on the Obersalzberg, far away from the capital of the Reich. Only occasionally did he show himself to his people.
On July 16, 1939, the whole of Munich was dedicated to National Socialist creative activity. Hitler wanted the Day of German Art to be celebrated as a true festival of peace. The members of an amateur film club had been positioned at various points in the city to document all important events. The first item on the program for the morning was the laying of a wreath at the grave of architect Ludwig Trost. Local branches of the Association of German Amateur Filmmakers were commissioned more and more often by party officers to document major events on 16mm color film because there was still no satisfactory process for professional cinema productions. On this particular day, the members of the Munich branch of the association had been provided with passes and armbands which allowed them access to all prime filming locations.
On the afternoon of July the 16th, anybody who was anybody in the Third Reich took their seat in the VIP stand to marvel at a 3-hour assembly of large images from 2,000 years of German culture. Not only was Germany exclusive to the National Socialist, so was its past. In the program for this tacky festival, it said,
"The German eagle towers above the whole procession. Hence this manifestation of eyes. At the same time it gazes into the eternal future, keenly and calmly, with pride and assured of victory, announcing the greatness of our hero, our willingness to act. It is the narrative of our doing and our plans."
American reporter Ernest Pope commented,
"The session is the admission of the Führer's restless plans for conquest."
On the Obersalzberg, Ava Braun filmed Hitler in the pose of a resolute power politician. Hitler clearly displayed his willingness for war, while at the same time keeping open the possibility of a peaceful solution by receiving diplomats from all over the world.
Khalid al-Hud, the special envoy of the King of Saudi Arabia. The Wahhabis had established an absolute monarchy on the Arabian Peninsula. They had control of oil, a commodity so keenly sought after by every major power. And they were fanatical anti-Semites. In the end, all that was agreed on this occasion was an insignificant arms deal. Accompanied by his accomplices, Reinhard Heydrich and Karl Wolf, Heinrich Himmler had also traveled to the Obersalzberg. They were planning an extermination program to which not only Poland's intelligentsia, but also its Jewish population would fall victim.
On August the 12th, 1939, Eva Braun filmed on the terrace of the Berghof. Hitler was awaiting a visit from the Italian foreign minister. On official occasions, the Führer's mistress had to withdraw into her rooms. So this time too, she could only secretly film a few scenes prior to the arrival of the state guest. Count Giano wanted to win over his ally for a new international conference, but the Führer was determined to defeat Poland militarily. Giano's efforts were fruitless. This is how he described his meeting with Hitler.
He has decided to attack, and he will attack.
A march of the Federation of German Girls and the Hitler Youth in Offenburg on May the 19th, 1939. Here too, by now, the Second World War was not far off. Paul Stolbach, who had been documenting everyday life in his hometown ever since 1928, filmed the Nazi Party's local annual conference in the Baden district in color. Among the town's dignitaries was publisher Franz Burda. As early as 1933, in his popular radio magazine Surak, he had already stated that
in its thoughts, desires, and acts, the Surak has always been solidly German and patriotic, nationalist and socialist. The spirit of the new age is alive in it. No Jewish capital has been invested in the printing house, nor are any of the company's contributors or employees Jewish.
The highlight of the event was the address by district leader Karl Rombach. Since 1936, Offenburg had been a garrison town. Accordingly, local military leaders also presented themselves in parade uniforms as part of National Socialist Society.
On September the 8th, 1939, a loudspeaker vehicle announced news of the Wehrmacht successes in Poland. The Offenburger Tagesblatt also printed special reports from the Army's Supreme Command. The Germans couldn't believe that their fathers, husbands, and sons were sweeping through Poland so quickly. Every day, maps were hastily put up to show the latest conquests. On this particular day, September the 8th, German tank units had reached the suburbs of Warsaw. Hitler's first blitzkrieg ended on October the 6th with the capitulation of Poland.
Johannes Bliesener owned a photography shop in Korbach in Hesse. Time and again during the Second World War, he filmed events in his hometown. Later he edited them to produce Korbach in the War, a film which shows rare footage of life in a small town during the Third Reich. On March the 22nd, 1940, the National Socialist Public Welfare Organization in Korbach invited people to come for pea and bacon soup on Adolf Hitler Square. With food rationing in place, such occasions ensured that the poorer levels of society also got to enjoy a cheap, hot meal. Paramount, however, was the Nazi leadership's intention to promote communal solidarity along the lines of socialism in practice.
Since September the 3rd, 1939, a state of war had existed between the Third Reich and Great Britain and France. But the Allies had not come to Poland's aid. For them, it was a case of wait and see. Hitler had been planning for months to launch a campaign in the West. But it had been postponed time and again. Finally, Germany's Supreme Commander decided that the offensive would begin on May the 10th, 1940. Infantry units were also stationed in Bitterfeld near Halle. In early May, they were moved west. They were to invade the neutral countries of Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, while German tank units headed through the Ardennes towards France.
At the start of his campaign in the West, Hitler moved to his headquarters in Rodat in the Eifel. From here, his chief pilot, Hans Bauer, flew the Führer to the front, time and again. On Odendorf airfield, near Euskirchen, we see the dictator discussing the situation with Hermann Göring. In less than 6 weeks, Hitler had achieved what German armies had failed to achieve in 4 years in the Great War. France was forced to capitulate. After a long discussion with Hitler on June 6, 1940, Joseph Goebbels wrote in his diary that
the Führer towers high above us all. He's one of history's geniuses. What a glorious era. And it will be followed by the great rest we all desire so much. The Führer, perhaps, more than any of us. Then we shall build the new Europe. After the war, we shall soon deal with the Jews.
Near the town of Cambrai in northern France, Hans Bauer filmed the wreckage of a French Air Force unit. This is how French historian Marc Bloch described the disaster in his book Strange Defeat.
We have just suffered a devastating defeat. Who was responsible? The parliamentary regime, the troops, the British? The fifth column, our generals reply. In other words, everybody but them. No matter how one might assess the deeper reasons for this catastrophe, the immediate cause was the incapability of our military leaders, their inability to think the war.
On June 2nd, 1940, the leadership of the German Luftwaffe was waiting at Neergnies airfield for the arrival of the Führer. Filmed by Hans Bauer, the Air Force generals were in jovial and victorious mood, although their contribution to the military success had been modest. German troops wounded in battle were quickly flown in to form the backdrop to a special ceremony. Adolf Hitler arrives in his Mercedes limousine. While the commander-in-chief is greeting his troops, 150 kilometers away in Dunkirk, the last of 330,000 British and French soldiers are being evacuated across the English Channel. Exactly 4 years later, they will return to free France from the German yoke. Wherever Hitler appears with his entourage, he is given a frenetic reception. The dictator is at the zenith of his power. As chief of the German Armed Forces High Command, Wilhelm Keitel put it,
"My Führer, you are the greatest commander of all time."
Comments like that earned Keitel the reputation of being the Führer's lackey. In his memoirs, Chief Pilot Hans Bauer commented on Hitler's visits to the troops in France.
Hitler's intended effect was achieved. The troops and the French population were impressed by the fact that he appeared as soon as hostilities had ceased. The commander-in-chief ate from field kitchens. The only special requirement was for any canned meat to be removed, since the Führer always avoided meat.
Naturally, people back home in Germany didn't get to see such scenes. Even the camera teams of the weekly newsreel rarely had the chance to observe Hitler like this. With the exception of Eva Braun's private films, the films taken by Hans Bauer are the only footage which shows the dictator from close up, unedited and uncensored. On June the 13th, the French government declared Paris to be an open city. A day later, the German army marched into the capital. One soldier, Arnold Binder, wrote in his diary,
Paris has been declared an open city. We have occupied it without a fight. The heart of France is in our hands.
On June the 23rd, 1940, Adolf Hitler visited the defeated French capital. Chief pilot Hans Bauer had flown the dictator to Le Bourget at 5 a.m. and was allowed to accompany him on a tour of the city. Once again, he used 16mm color film to document the bizarre sightseeing trip. Alongside Hitler on the observation platform on the Trocadero, were sculptors and architects Hermann Giesler and Albert Speer. Later in his memoirs, Speer described the dictator's reaction.
Wasn't Paris beautiful? But Berlin must become even more beautiful. In the past, I often wondered whether Paris shouldn't be destroyed. But when we're finished in Berlin, Paris will be a new ship. Destroy it.
Hitler had purportedly come to Paris as an educational tourist who was very keen on culture. But in reality, the visit was his personal triumph as a commander. In Les Invalides, he spent a long time next to the tomb of Napoleon, past and present dreams of world dominance. Finally, a visit to the Panthéon, France's Hall of Fame. The dictator's lifelong dream had been fulfilled, at least for the time being. 5 years later, France would celebrate victory by dancing in the streets.
are you holding up? Sure.
You need to be careful. me, Mutahar, and I'm making this as a public service announcement for some of you who may be violating YouTube's terms of services without actually knowing. Now you might be like, "Whoa, Muda, I'm a good person. I would never violate YouTube's TOS." Muda, I haven't even emulated a game, okay? Red lights, I don't even make a right turn on them, okay? Even though that it's legal, and I just like to waste the guy behind me his time. Yeah, I had a bad day driving today, but you know what? I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, allowing ads on the videos that you watch. So, I didn't know this, but apparently when you block YouTube ads, you violate YouTube's terms of service. Ooh, that's not good. You know, violating any website's terms of service is cause to get good old banned off the platform. If you use ad blockers, we ask you to allow ads on YouTube or sign up for YouTube Premium. Now, I decided to Wayback Machine that page, and it led me all the way back to October 14th, 2023. So this is a pretty virgin page. Now, immediately I looked at this and wondered, whoa, why am I not hearing about this anywhere else? Well, ladies and gentlemen, to understand what's been going on with YouTube, they have been issuing some wild ad blocks, okay? They have been blocking the ad blockers. Now, I've covered this like a couple months ago, I would say, when we initially saw this one, block. Video player will be blocked after 3 videos. It looks like you may be using an ad blocker. Video playback will be blocked unless YouTube is allow listed. Okay, so to understand, they want you to either get premium or turn off that pesky ad block and manage to get on, okay? So some of the responses to this have been awfully brave of YouTube to think I'm going to stop using ad block before I stop using YouTube. Honestly, without all biases aside, I feel like if you're watching videos for free on a platform, maybe spending 30 seconds to watch an ad that you can most likely skip anyways is not the biggest deal in the world, okay? You know, typically when an ad will, after 6 seconds just tell you, yeah, we'll end it or you can skip it. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, the YouTube double ads are wild, but we're still not there with the YouTube's, or we're still not there with television yet, so again, let's not get our panties in a twist. Now, I wanted to look back into how old school this was, and literally 4 years ago, one of the posts was brought on. What's going on with YouTube updating their terms of service and potentially banning people with ad block? So 4 years ago, they had talked about this situation on Reddit, and they had brought up YouTube's TOS at the time, 4 years ago, so 2019, and had basically discussed YouTube may terminate your access or your Google account's access to all or parts of the service if YouTube believes in its sole discretion that provision of the service to you is no longer commercially viable. So if they find out that I guess your account or your IP address has not been watching advertisements, but you've been consuming hours worth of YouTube content utilizing their servers, maybe setting up that 1080p, that 4K, that 8K option, then you may not be economically viable to deliver high quality HD video every single day to, okay? That might be up to YouTube. Now again, there's no specific wording in this situation. It's not like Spotify that actually did specifically ban ad blockers outright, but it seems like YouTube's very much against it at this point, and if you've ever watched that movie, Falling Under, you, my friend, are not economically viable. You see that guy? He's not economically viable, all right? We all feel like this lad right over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube is going to war with ad blockers, okay? Now, this isn't new information. I necessarily don't really blame YouTube whatsoever. One of the reasons why YouTube is kind of going into this, and one of the reasons I'm making a video is to give more context into why this war with ad block is reaching its sort of final phase. So YouTube continues to see ad revenue declines, which is 2.6% drops year over year. So quarter by quarter, and this is not me bringing this up as FUD, this is literally from Alphabet's earnings releases, so you can actually read these for yourselves if you're as excited as I am, and you can read that, yes, YouTube is losing some of that advertiser money. It's still above expectations, but losing advertiser money is not good. And one of the reasons for that is YouTube has a lot of competition lately. YouTube's got TikTok, YouTube's got Instagram Reels. A lot of shorts content is being pushed on YouTube because that seems to be where the current market is trending to. Either people are watching 30-second long videos or they're watching 3-hour-long gaming videos like me, okay? There almost seems like there's really no in-between in this situation. So to understand, YouTube is kind of in a fucking pickle right now. They're kind of bent over a barrel. It costs a lot of money to send out high-quality video all over the world. And this isn't the only thing YouTube has done. For a brief period in time, YouTube actually paywalled 4K video before they ended that experiment, okay? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube had locked out 4K resolution on the platform for a brief period of time until they ended up having to get rid of it, just because it was obviously not popular to all. So again, you can kind of see that throughout at least the last 12 months, the last 24 months, YouTube has been basically cost cutting a lot, okay? So they've been trying to make sure that they are making money. And where for a platform that's this big, that revenues in the multiples of billions of dollars, remember, revenue is just how much money you bring in. That's before money you spend on server costs. That's before money you spend on paying out YouTubers. That's before every other expenditure you have. And for YouTube, or rather Google's Alphabet company, they've been, like other tech companies, laying off thousands upon thousands of employees. So clearly there's a lot of cost cutting going on in California and a lot of these big tech companies, and YouTube going to war with AdBlock is basically a culmination of a bunch of these negative things that are happening. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to talk about necessarily in this situation was not YouTube going to war with ads. I get it. I understand. And I would try to tell you how to block ads yourself, because I do believe that ad block is a positive, okay? It's a positive in a lot of ways because when you browse the internet as a whole, there are a lot of shady advertisements. Malvertising is what we call this, okay? Which is why when people use ad block, I don't take it personally, okay? Look, I'm here to make videos and have fun. If I get paid, that's always like a big bonus and a plus. If you watch my videos and you are using ad block the entire time, I don't personally care. YouTube does. I don't care because I appreciate that you took time out of your day to watch me, okay? That's pretty much where the extent of it lies. I get why people use ad block. There are shitty advertisements all over. One of the browsers that I use, Brave, comes with some of the best ad blockers built right in. And I'm not being paid to say this. Tons of browsers now have ad blocking features built within them. Opera GX was even touting how they were bypassing YouTube's anti-ad block system. Now, again, I want to just stress by saying I'm not doing this to throw Opera GX under the bus. I doubt they've read this deep into this TOS pool like I have. I've actually sent an alert out to them. I've DM'd the social media manager, and I assume that's going to be looked at by the rest of the company or people who need to be looking at that. Again, Opera GX, they were being tongue-in-cheek. That's how social media is for them. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is obviously for a lot of YouTubers that do have sponsorships with them, I don't want them to get in trouble because they may be promoting some ad blocking feature. Not that I think Opera GX willingly even meant to do that. Again, nobody looked this far into it. The browser that I use, Brave, comes with all of these ad blocking features built in. And while I allow list YouTube and a bunch of websites I go to support creators, these settings are not enabled by default. And in Brave's case, they can actually be so good. In Opera GX's case, they can actually be so good that for certain sites that have ad blocking prevention, they are still able to, bypass those. So again, I don't want anybody to be violating TOS without knowing because, again, I know how, risque YouTube can be, especially when you do break rules, so be careful. But the other thing is obviously these browsers have a lot more functionality than ad blocking. Brave in my case, because it runs on Linux, and it has a lot of fingerprinting preventions and easy, Tor access. One of the reasons I use it, okay? But again, for a lot of people who have just downloaded these browsers because of their massive popularity now, they may be, enabling features that I guess is not allowed under the current YouTube system. I don't agree with it, but it's not my website, it's YouTube's website. And if you're going to be on their site watching or producing, then you got to play by their rules. But to give you an idea of malvertising, one of the things that YouTube, in my opinion, hasn't necessarily been cleaning up on is some of the Mr. Beast scam ads that have been floating around. Now, I've covered this extensively in the past, okay? I've talked about this problem. It is a problem, and to give you an idea for it, This has been going on for years over at YouTube, and I know that Jimmy's had a problem with it. I know I've had a problem with it. Everyone has had a problem with this. But it seems like any of these scammers can pay the Google Ads team, and they can basically advertise shit like, Mr. Beast, I'm giving away $1,000 to every person who visits this page. First off, English grammar is thrown to the mix. The website is chance4xyz. It's dead, but Wayback Machine will tell you, hey, $1,000 for every visitor. Please give us some personal information. Please let us install malware onto your system. Come on, just a little bit of malware, Jesus. And again, it really seems like if you just give the Google Ads team money, you're just allowed on this platform, okay? You even get a shiny blue button that takes you right there to the shithole website, okay? I put a shitty link on my channel page, instant channel strike, okay? Right there. But advertisement team does it, go ahead. Of course, it's sometimes just scrolling through your feed. Whoa, everyone that visits our page gets $1,000. And of course, the ad is beast sharing. Oh boy. But again, that's not the only thing. You've also got everyone that visits this page. Again, yeah, this is not new. This is 7 months ago this was posted. And again, let's not forget with Linus Tech Tips, oh shit, his channel got deleted? Whoa, chill out there, Linus. Let's scroll down here. Whoa, SpaceX events? Elon Musk is on the news? He's on MSNBC? He was not on MSNBC. This is not a SpaceX official event. This is a scam, ladies and gentlemen, one that I've covered extensively on my channel. It's not hard to come across a scam on YouTube. Now, I don't know if YouTube has an option with like their advertisers kind of slipping out over the last couple, last year or two. I don't know if it's like, hey, we'll just like anybody like advertise on our platform if you just give us a little bit of money. Obviously, once these ads get reported, at some point YouTube will step in and take it away. But it's kind of weird, right? Like you got paid to spread that on the internet. It did get advertised. It took a while, you know, probably towards the end of that ad spend for them to actually get removed. The thing is, when it comes to scammers on the platform, I often feel like over the last few years, YouTube does not actually punish them. So again, to tie it all back, people who use ad blocks, I don't really have any like hatred towards, because I understand in the shitty world of online media today, with how scary and malicious some advertising is, some people just need to get rid of all of it at times. But obviously, that is a double-edged sword. You can get rid of the scam advertising, you also get rid of the legitimate advertising that is paying for YouTube to stay awake and afloat. Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube has gone to war with ad blockers, and I don't think ad blockers are going to win, okay? At the end of the day, if YouTube starts cracking down on actual accounts and actually issuing terminations and strikes on individuals because they're just out there using ad block, I think most people will quit using this shit just so they can continue using YouTube. Does this affect people on like mobile devices? Probably not. Ad block doesn't really work, from what I understand, on the YouTube mobile app, which is, I believe, where a lot of people watch their content today. For me, most of my YouTube is actually through mobile applications anyways. And I don't have premium, personally, so I see all the ads. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube does not like ad block anymore. And from the last time I looked at it, it seems like they're pretty much serious on stomping it all out. And based on what they recently added to their TOS, I don't even think it's safe to show you how to block an ad, okay? YouTube does not like ad blockers, and by extension, if you want to be on the platform, you shouldn't like them either. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and yeah, shit's getting serious. I am out.
The Foundation.
Okay, guys, that was Some Ordinary Gamers. I've liked and subbed to his channel. Thank you for the excellent content for the stream. Here comes
The Foundation.
How School Ruined Your Life by Moon. I've liked and subbed to your channel.
Any society lies in its education system.
Education is one of the most important weapons in a country.
It shapes minds, molds features, determines the trajectory of a nation's progress.
The right education learn how to be a better human being.
Pushing the entirety of humanity forward. But that begs the question, what happens when an education system becomes poisoned? When an education system is corrupted? Well, after understanding how the modern education system was built and how it's slowly been poisoned over decades, big realization hits that our education system may very well stifle human progress and human potential. All the destiny inside of all the billions of people throughout decades of history have their lives ruined, societies numbered, universities, schools, nurseries around the world. All the teachers, students, and people have passed through them. The decades of lies, soul-destroying manipulation, all the repression that has come from corruption of our education system. How this is altered science, creativity, and human potential, all by the slow poisoning of our education system. When you realize this benefits only select few people throughout all of history, you start to realize that the destruction of our education system might be one of the most disastrous things that's happened in mankind's history. The question is, who are these people that poison the education system? And what effects does it have today? Well, to understand this, we need to go back in time to really piece together how the education system we know today was first built. Now, like I mentioned earlier, education is often regarded as the bedrock of societal progress, and it has undergone significant transformations over centuries. From the Egyptians, Greek, the Renaissance has led up to the standard American education system across the world. The American education system is built how modern schools and universities are built. So then who designed this education system? Well, the genesis of the American education system can be traced back as far as the Prussian Empire, a region that now lies within modern-day Germany. The Prussians, after their conquest of Poland in the late 18th century, faced a unique challenge, integrating a diverse and consistent Polish populace into their empire. The solution was ingenious, yet insidious. The Prussian government targeted the youth, recognizing that molding young minds was easier than changing established beliefs. The Prussian education system was meticulously crafted to serve the state, spanning 8 years. It emphasized obedience, patriotism, and respect for authority. The curriculum was not designed to foster creativity or encourage dissent. How would that benefit the Prussians at all? Rather, it aimed to produce citizens who would never challenge the status quo or question the empire's authority. This model of education quickly caught the attention of Horace Mann, an American education reformer during the 19th century. Mann was impressed by this Prussian system, at the efficiency and conformity that the Prussian state was generating. And Horace saw this as a blueprint for America, as he believed that such a system unified the diverse American populace and instilled shared sense of national identity during the period of the American Civil War. This was what America needed, and how it would forge its new national identity. Parallel to the government's interests, the late 1940s also saw the rise of industrial magnates like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie. In this period, the Industrial Revolution was in full swing, and there was a pressing need for a workforce that could fuel all these burgeoning industries across America. However, the largely agrarian American society at the time lacked the disciplined wage-state mentality that these industries demanded. They needed factory workers, people who worked on machines but never questioned their place. Rockefeller recognized the potential of Prussian spine education system.
Studying Rockefeller, Carnegie, those guys, nobody's amassed what those guys had. Rockefeller had 336 billion in today's dollars. Yeah, Carnegie had 372 billion. This was the first generation of entrepreneurs. The country was new. All these industries were just emerging. These guys took it over.
He could influence the American education system with new Prussian style of connecting Americans across state lines and generating national identity, all secretly using this as personal means. So with the assistance of post-conflict freedom states, he established the general education board with an investment of the equivalent to billions today. They then began to shape the curriculum, ensuring that these workers with the basic skills required for industrial jobs. And the emphasis was clear. The system should produce workers, not thinkers. As Rockefeller stated, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. Following this, he opened hundreds of schools, invested millions into the education system, trained thousands of teachers, and improved literacy rates across the country. He even rolled out a mass treatment program for hookworm, an incredibly common parasite at the time. But despite the benefits, Rockefeller wasn't doing this out of his heart, obviously. Just look at another quote from his organization's dream for rural America, and you'll get some idea of what his true intentions were. In our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children as men of man or We shall not search for great artists, painters, musicians, no lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statesmen. The task we set before ourselves is very simple, as well as very beautiful. To train these people as we find them to a perfect ideal life just where they are, making it perfectly clear that human progress and human potential is not on these cards for the industrial magnate. They amongst other industrialists could spend over hundreds of millions making the dream come true, mixing the Prussian method of schooling. They also made schools seem like factories, or more specifically production lines. On the surface, as well as the rigid structure, the school's elements role in partitioning time into work periods was directly based on the factory whistle. But the most treating children as products of the factory. Each year of their lives, smells as well, partitions in the grades of study, restricted times on required days. This was the day that America was the world, in large part thanks to the Rockefellers. But it wasn't just the Rockefellers who were going to shape the modern education system as we know today. You see, Andrew Carnegie is incredibly famous for his contributions to the American education system, particularly his founding of Ivy University. Many places are named after him in the States, as he came to be one of the biggest philanthropists for education institutions. Helping hand not exactly as we see when you dig a little further into this, realize how corrupting he was to the world's education. You see, the steel mills and industries that bolster Carnegie's fortune were infamous for their grueling working conditions. Workers were subjected to extended hours in perilous environments, receiving meager pay and hardly any rights, working non-stop every single day of the week, all for no pay, painful labor, with nothing to show for it. And whilst he is famous now for his generous educational donations, if you really look into it, he was just using this to fuel his empire and get enough workers on board, because he quickly realized he didn't have enough manpower. Without people skilled enough to work in the factory or use the machines that were necessary, he wouldn't be able to further grow his monopoly. He needed manpower that were educated enough to use the machine, but too docile to think for themselves. And so every time he would give up these big donations, he always had this specific vision about the structure and delivery of this education. And donations frequently mandate institutions to conform to them. It was this exertion of his influence that Carnegie played a pivotal role in shaping the direction and priorities in many educational establishments, literally curbing innovation and doing everything he could to stop any educational paradigms that might actually help the populace think for themselves. But in some cases, Carnegie did donate money to real education, with the funding of libraries and private educational establishments in certain areas. But again, his focus on particular private wealth with connected educational institutions and causes meant that his family, friends, and other members children would be educated. A perfect way to network with political families and other industrialists. Masses would then be brought for his necessary factories only. They would receive the same kind of funding, and that ensured that most of America, where the workers came from, would be force-fed controlled education, being given a public educational system treatment. And any school or educational establishments that didn't go along with this would then remain underfunded and eventually unable to function properly due to not teaching what Carnegie wanted. And so this forced teachers and schools to fall under profound wishes. Questions like, what are your true passions? What do you aspire to achieve in life? What motivates you to start a new day with enthusiasm? These questions were starting out of the education system. And that's why today, you likely spend the majority of your formative years learning to conform, wearing a uniform, and settling for mediocrity, eagerly awaiting each break until the next ring of the alarm. Working 9 to 5 hours every single day of your childhood, teaching you to never value your own intuition, and get used to monotonous, mass-produced, and insincere education that is constantly shut down, growing refuge with the emotional productivity at home, where you are then forced to go back home, do your work tasks, and have only a couple hours spare, where your energy has been depleted, where you can't do anything other than play games or do something to numb yourself. You see, instead of nurturing your creativity, your whole childhood, 18 years of your life was devoted to learning fragmented, forgettable information. Unschooled children, people who had never put through any educational establishment, often catch up with their school peers when they reach children and even outperform them. And that's when you start to realize that our current educational system functions more as a daycare trying to train children how to think, spending 8 or 9 hours a day in a structured, regimented environment akin to a military prison or even bathroom mission. Critical thinking skills, all passionate magnates who never wanted a free thinking possible, or with great American poets, cautioned against Islam, suggesting that unquestioning obedience enslavement of the population. And yet today's society, especially in the West, seems to have drifted away from this ideal. The public school system is always seen to provide free and compulsory education, being one of the bedrocks of Western society. And yet more and more critics come out against it.
We're teaching kids how to complete this life that they're born into, the way it's established for their parents, the way it's established for the neighborhood. Get your car, drive to work all day, come home, essentially be as miserable as everybody else before them. Doing the exact same thing as everybody else.
Noam Chomsky suggesting that public schooling doesn't necessarily teach individuals how to think, but rather conditions them to perform, which isn't really obstructing much of the history of the education system. Because the aim of public education is not enlightenment, but standardization.
There's no question it's completely obsolete. The education system is a path-dependent outcome from the need for daycare, from the need for prisons for college-age males who otherwise overrun society, cause a lot of havoc. The original medieval universities, the guard towers that faced inwards, for example.
Many eminent individuals from various fields found the schooling system suffocating, inhibits, stifling creativity. And this isn't just happening to the education system. The mainstream media, another bedrock of Western society, does the exact same thing. That's why people like Nietzsche and Richard Weber have always expressed skepticism about the media's role in shaping public opinion. Noam Chomsky in his book Media Control claims the media is dominated by elitist ideologies, viewing the masses as a below the just like the education system. And you see, this control isn't running its own order, but preserving institutional structures that benefit only a few. And this isn't just happening in America. In almost all of the world this has happened. And the Soviet Union was a perfect example of this. As they placed a strong emphasis on education and research, they were committed to intellectual development. And you can see this just looking at the stats. In 1897, in Russia, 28% of the population was illiterate. By 1937, this number had dramatically decreased. 75% of the US population was illiterate. The Soviet era was marked by free and accessible education for all citizens, a legacy that continues in almost all post-Soviet countries today, from Russia itself, along with China. And this emphasis on education is limited to the basic literacy. The Soviets had to invest in science and technology, believing that through the power of science, they could address the challenges brought about by the communist regime. And some of the world's best chess players. And they led the space race in many aspects into the moon landing. Their government heavily funded new technology for nuclear power plants, intercontinental missiles. We see the same thing in China. The population is one of the most educated in the world. The standard is far above any standard in the West. Children's formal education far exceeds anything you can tradition. However, again, just like the West, this education isn't as simple as it seems. While these governments value education and research, they also suppress alternative ideas and opinions that threaten the regime's authority. So the government is infamous for censorship. Literary work often faces heavy scrutiny and moderation, people being blurred out of the images, speaking out against the government can lead to severe consequences, including exile to Siberia or a bad social credit score.
Wake up before sunrise, sleep after midnight. It's a typical day for students who are prepping for China's most competitive exam, the National College Entrance Examination.
And this extends to the scientific community as well. Researchers will often learn to be deceived, only now by realize that align with government's goals. This stifling environment left tension between creativity and innovation. For instance, genetics, a foundation science, was declared a bourgeoisie pseudoscience during the USSR, leading to the persecution of thousands of biologists. In China today, we see Google, any social media, any form of actually having publicly accessible information, completely censored into silence.
Websites such as Google, YouTube, Facebook are either blocked completely or slow to crawl into almost unusable state. Known as the Great Firewall of China, this censorship engine allows the Chinese government to regulate the internet and protect its citizens from dangerous content.
With these countries being extremely good at learning what is supposed to learn, but never questioning the barriers of their education, with high-ranking Communist Party officials children having far easier access to this information, going to the best educational institutions